Look, if you're in the Microsoft AI ecosystem, then agents need to be on your radar. And there's a good chance that you don't know all the different agent tools, right? Because I didn't know all of them until like a month ago. So what I want to do today is help you understand all the different tools that are available to you and kind of where they fit in, right? I'm not going to try to teach you how to use all of them. That'd make this video way too long. But what I want to do is just give you a great look at the out-of-the-box agents, the no-code agents, the low-code agents, and even the full-code agents. So you can figure out, all right, which one of the pieces of this puzzle does what you want, so then you can go and dive in. All right, so if that sounds like fun, then let's switch over to my desktop and take a look. To begin with, let's start with just simple Copilot Chat, right? And what I find from teaching this in my classes is that it's way more complicated than most people think. But the main thing to remember when it comes to Copilot Chat is that how you're logged in matters, right? So if you're not logged in at all, you basically get a really terrible experience. You should never use that experience. If you log in with your personal account, like I am here, right? When you see up here, I'm logged in with my Cincy Shane, then this experience is a great one for personal use, right? Because instead of searching the web, right, I use this to ask questions that help me find things. It has all the full features, like it has the ability to generate images. It can do, I'm normally on quick response. I can go into think deeper, so have that deeper response. I can even, hand off everyday tasks with actions now, right? It's one of those preview features that kind of comes and goes. All right, it can generate files. I said generate images already. Like it can do a lot of things. And also the voice agent, if you haven't checked it out, really powerful. Now, this one is great for all of my personal things. Like this morning, I had to go buy a washer dryer stack kit. So I said, hey, here's the dryer I got. What's the stack kit for it? It's like, oh, here it is. And it's at Lowe's. And I was like, cool. And I went to Lowe's and got the kit, right? True story. So with that said, right, like this one is what I use, but you don't want to use this experience for business data, right? Because with this one, it may or may not, depending on your settings, be used to train other models. And we don't want that, right? Like if I'm using my proprietary business trade secrets, personal information, like things that I don't want to ever appear in other models, then I'm not going to use this. So this one is great for your personal things. And that's what I use it for every day. But please don't use this one or logged in this way with your personal account. So if you log into that same copilot.microsoft.com with your Office 365 account, you're going to get an experience like this. Now, in this particular case, up here at the top, I got a web and a work. But if I go over here to this browser and I go to that same one logged in with a account that has a different license, like Chewy's account here, notice that I don't get that web and work. So this is one of those things that confuses people. If you see web and work up here at the top, this means you have an M365 Copilot license. That's a $30 per user per month license that not only gives you additional chat capabilities, but it also gives you the ability to use it in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all those, right? So if we go over here as Chewy, who doesn't have that license, you notice he doesn't have that. So this one, he can do basically all the same stuff that you can do on the personal side, right? The configuration is a little bit different. He's got some more options over here we're going to talk about in a minute. But the big key here is that when Chewy is logged in with his Chewy at Power Apps 911 account, right, his Microsoft 365 account, get the little green shield up here, right? This is enterprise data protection. Go here, click on this, read the page. I'm not going to read it to you, but basically it says, hey, Microsoft's not going to use this data to train on anything. So if I want to use it to ask proprietary questions, if I want to ask secret things, like things that I would never want to leak into future models, I don't want to be trained against, this is the tool for that. So this is the one that you should be using to do work, right? Because all your business data is safe and protected by the Microsoft Enterprise Data Protection, okay? So this one, if you don't see anything up here, then that means you don't have a special license. That's okay. You just have the equivalent to having web. But in this case, hi Shane at PowerApps91.com has that special license. And so for that, he also has this work tab. So it's me, whatever. But the work tab, the difference here is it's everything the web tab had, right? Web searches, all that knowledge. But the difference is that the work tab also includes everything from my M365 tenant. So that means it knows what's going on in my Teams, in my Outlook, in my SharePoint, in my OneDrive. It has a view of my entire tenant. So I can ask it things like, hey, what's going on with Jennifer? Or go find the report that Daniel wrote for me. Or give me a recap of the last Teams meeting I was in, right? Like all of that functionality comes only on the work tab. If I click on the web tab, then I've got the same experience that Chewy has, okay? So these are your out-of-the-box agents. Now, also with these, like we won't get into them, but like if I was to go into like Microsoft Word, let's open that real quick. All of my Office clients, because I have that extra license, I have the ability to use Copilot Chat over here as well, right? These are all still what I consider as out of the box agents because I'm not configuring them, I didn't build them. They're just all showing up because I have the license. But this is really unpacking a lot of power. Like if you haven't messed with these, start with Teams. The Teams one is really the most awesome one. Outlook's pretty cool. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, they kind of, the awesomeness level kind of goes down as you go. But anyway, the other really cool thing that I get is over here on the left, I've got this whole create thing. I put a link to a video up there where I walk through how I use that to create content and stuff, right? But that's all kind of the out of the box agents. So now the second set of agents is the idea of what I call a no-code agent, right? So a no-code agent is one that we're going to completely create either using words or using clicky with the mouse, right? And so the easiest way to get started with those is over here on the left, I have this option for create agent, okay? So when you do create agent, this is actually opening a tool called Agent Builder. Like it doesn't say it anywhere, but that's what we call it. It's what it is. I don't know why it doesn't say Agent Builder anywhere. It's a little confusing. The Copilot Studio logo is up here as well because it's not really Copilot Studio. It's but it's built on the same foundation. But the idea here is that I could build myself an agent to, do specific things, right? So the most common one that we're seeing from customers today with this is they're taking and they're turning content into an agent, right? So like one of my construction customers, their project manager, he's running a hundreds of millions, $billion, like city style building project. And so basically he fills out all these reports, statuses, updates all the time. He's generating this content all the time, but people still just like hit him up in Teams like, hey, when is the, new facade going in? Or when is the windows getting delivered? He already wrote all that down, right? He has to track so much. So what he did was he built an agent and said, hey, agent, I want to go here to configure, and I'm going to add knowledge. And he points it at that report document. So now the agent knows everything that's in that document. And so when they ask him a question, he's like, oh, here. And he adds the agent to the chat. He's like, my project agent can answer the questions for you. And so that's really one of the biggest things that we're currently seeing with like this idea of, no code agents. People are coming in here, they're building very simple ones, right? Hey, instructions. Your job is to answer questions about the project using the provided knowledge. He's linking off to that document in the SharePoint site. So that way, every time he updates the SharePoint document, right, the agent knows it's seeing the latest document. They can also start to do things like, does he want to allow it to do image generation? He probably doesn't. You might. Code interpreter. This is the one where you're able to, have it like, have you ever seen it like run some Python code to generate a file or do some complex math for you? So code interpreter, right? We can turn that on or off here with Agent Builder. But notice here, like I'm not writing any code. I'm not writing any formulas. I'm not, doing a bunch of fancy actions. Like I'm literally just going in here and either, clicking and being like, hey, use this file for a document or for the knowledge, putting in some instructions, giving it a name, we're off to the races. So this is how we build a no-code agent. Now there's a second way that has become a little bit more popular recently to build a no-code agent. Let's switch over to my SharePoint site. And so here in my SharePoint site, you're going to notice up at the top that I have this little Copilot icon. And if I click on it, I get a Copilot sidebar. So this little thing only shows up in one of two scenarios. One, because I have an M365 Copilot license, so that's what's lighting it up for me. But if I don't have that and we still want to take advantage of it, then there is a pay-as-you-go license, right? We're not learning about licensing today, but there's other ways to get it. But basically what I want you to see, like if I copy and go over here, right, logged in as Chewy, who doesn't have the $30 a month license, you're going to see that Chewy is not going to get the lovely little Copilot icon. See, Chewy does not have that same Copilot icon. He doesn't have it, and we don't have a SharePoint pay-as-you-go license, right? So that's the difference there. But if you have this, then your site automatically has a pre-built agent, right? So this agent has all the data from your documents and such from the SharePoint site, your documents and your pages, I believe. But it's the same type of thing. If I want to create my own agent, we would create an agent. And if we go to edit here, it's Not the same. It's not Agent Builder, and it's not built on top of Copilot Studio. So it's kind of its own little tech bubble. But it's very similar to Agent Builder, right? And go here to sources. So what SharePoint sites do I want to include? Note that you can like get into, I only want this specific SharePoint document, or maybe I want, a big broad range of SharePoint sites. Maybe I want to pull in documents from multiple SharePoint sites. Like there's a lot you can do here adding the content. And on the behavior side, I can get in here and do things like, basically kind of drive the instructions again, right? But this one's not doing code interpreter. It's not generating images. It's really just meant to answer questions about either specific SharePoint documents or specific SharePoint document libraries or SharePoint sites. So it's a very SharePoint centric thing. But what's really cool about it is that it is built into the sidebar here, right? So this, though, another example of a no-code agent, right? And there is a video up there if you want to learn more about building SharePoint agents. I will give you a link to that because I've done a whole video on that, and I think it's a pretty powerful topic. All right, so next up, we've got low-code agents. And so in the Microsoft system, the way that we're going to build low-code agents is going to be using Copilot Studio, right? Low-code agents, that's what either we're doing like conversational agents, right? So your traditional chatbots, kind of like we've seen so far. You can also, with Copilot Studio, do autonomous agents. And so an autonomous agent is one that runs on its own. So maybe it's an agent that, responds to all your emails or all your Teams chats, or an agent that wakes up every morning at, 8 a.m. and processes some data, or every time you get an incident report, it is churning through and solving the problems with that, right? So Copilot Studio agents, right, it's a full low-code platform, right? It can build a much wider range of tools, a lot wider range of agents, but it can also make them a lot more complex. So for example, if we go in here to one of my agents, let's go to my incident report triage, right? This is one of my autonomous agents that does a lot of really cool stuff, but it integrates Power Automate Cloud Flows to trigger it. So basically, if we go down here, like you can see that this agent gets ran every time someone generates a new incident report. And then it has all of these complex instructions for how to process that incident report. And doing that, it then does tool calling, right? So this is the power of a low-code agent, tool calling, where it can do things like run different actions. So whether those are like Dataverse actions, Outlook actions, SharePoint actions, any of the 1,500-ish Power Platform actions, or 1,500-ish sources for, I don't even know, tens of thousands of actions, right? It can do all of that. Or I can write my own custom flows and have it process data that way, right? If we got in here and started looking through, like, for example, if we go down here to get witness information, if we can look in here on the inputs, I can even go in here and start to write things like, complex queries on how to do this. Some of my agents will even have use PowerFX formulas, right? That's the low code in it, right? So I can write additional formulas. But this idea of tool calling is really where, low code agents really start to shine. And the tool calling can even get more advanced. So like I like to kind of talk about the stuff that we know from the Power Platform, but it can also use AI prompts. So if you are familiar with those, we can use those. We talked about calling flows. You can bolt in custom connectors. So if you want to get data from anything with an API, if you know how to talk to that API in the Power Platform, you can talk to that from your agent and pull that data in. And you can even do MCPs, right? These are the kind of new hot things. So like, for example, different services like Microsoft Learn has an MCP server, which is basically a pre-configured connection that has all the knowledge of the Microsoft Learn site. So I could, if I wanted to add Microsoft Learn's knowledge and ability to talk to that, interact with that to this agent, then that is already all, like the plumbing's all there. I just need to connect up the dots. If you haven't seen MCPs, like they are really kind of one of the hot new things in the agent space, because all these different web services are just starting to build these MCP servers so we can talk to them and pull them in. Also, what's very new, I still have not really completely explored this one yet, but now we can even have agents call agents. So instead of building one big agent that does everything, we can start building little agents that just have very specific tasks. And then we have like one supervisory agent or one, parent agent who then calls on the kids to do their chores, right? Like my kids need to be outside cleaning up by the pool. That's another capability that you have in here. They also can do topics, which are structured conversations. And you can even take and push these agents out, not to just simple places, like we think of them as in Teams and in Copilot or SharePoint, like we've already looked at. But look, Agent Builder or Copilot Studio here, not Agent Builder, Copilot Studio, can start being pushed out and consumed in all types of different places. So this is what we call low code. The reason I call it low code, right? I'm nowhere in this process in my, writing C# or Python or anything complex, right? Like I'm using the Power Apps formula language, PowerFX. I'm using flows. I'm using actions. I'm connecting the dots in a low code fashion, not in a traditional, write full code type of thing. The other thing to keep in mind with Copilot Studio, is they keep saying, okay, what are things that I can only do in full code, which we're going to talk about in just a second, but how do I get those into the low code world, right? And the same thing, like what are the things that people find really easy to do in that no code platform, and how do I get that over here? If I had my crystal ball out, it'd be really cool if I had a graphic for that, but I'm not that cool. But if I get my crystal ball out, like Copilot Studio, like this is going to kind of be the base once we all kind of get going, right? And we get really comfortable with agents, because it can do all the things that the out-of-the-box agents and the no-code agents can do. And it can do almost everything the full code agents can do, but it's all done in a very easy to use platform, right? Like if I was betting on the future, Copilot Studio would be it. I'll leave you some videos up there. I don't know which one I'll choose, but I've got quite a bit of content on these. I really think this is the platform we should all be, for like, what do I do next? It's this. Last but not least, let's look at the one I know the least, which is the full code version of building agents, and that is over in Azure, right? So we're going to go here to Azure. And then if I go up here and search for Azure AI Foundry, right, like this is kind of the jumping off point. Like Azure has dozens, hundreds, millions, I don't even know, of Azure different resources. But the idea of Azure Resource Foundry is I can come in here and start to build out my own Azure AI full code type of thing. And not only is it, building my own agent using either, drag and droppy type of stuff or using, full proper code, but we can also start to use like our own models and stuff. So like if we go here and let's go to AI, use with AI Foundry, they change this every day, I feel like. But if we go here to create, then I come in here and I could define, my own resource. And then kind of once I've created my own resource, let's go into one that I built previously. So then once you're in here, you can start to look at things like, what models do you want? What services are you looking to use? All of these different pieces of the puzzle. And, you come in, like, for example, here's the model catalog. You'll be able to see like, hey, here's all the different types of models that you can use. So we got the different OpenAI ones, we got Minstrel, we got Llama, we got Grok, like we got a lot of different models we can build off of. We can get here to agents, and then we go in and create our own agent. All right, so if we say new agent, it's wizardy based, right? So here's all the different pieces, and I can kind of work my way through. Like I'm not the right person to teach you this, so I'm kind of stumbling with it, right? But this is that next level where I need to introduce pro code. I need to get into using specific models. I need to do fine tuning. Like I want to really build out something. Like I said, it is above my skill grade today, but those, if you're thinking, oh no, none of these out of the box agents would ever work. We need to build our own because we need to do insert crazy idea here around, a fine-tuned model on our data this way, that way, using Grok or using, DeepSeek or whatever you want to use. Like you can do that here. There is a story here. We do have customers who are getting into it. And sometimes it's not even building their agents here, but maybe they're coming over here and doing things like building custom data models using AI search and then leveraging that in a low code or no code agent like one built with Copilot Studio. But this is kind of when you're like, hey, I've outgrown what I can do today, then I'm going to jump into the Azure story. But keep an eye on that, right? Because I feel like every major reason that people would jump into this, they keep grabbing the biggest reason to jump to this and then adding that to Copilot Studio, right? Like the low code platform continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger and absorb a lot of what's going on with that. Okay, that is enough for today. Are you overwhelmed? I hope not, but I hope you got a good idea of what's going on here because I feel like this is super important. Like I said, I didn't know this was a full story until I kind of heard somebody ask the right question one time. I was like, oh, there really is all these different pieces. And this video is tough because you probably didn't know what you didn't know until you know what you know. I don't know. Oh, I'm exhausted. If you enjoy this stuff, go check out training.powerapps911.com, right? I do live Copilot classes. I kind of alternate between Copilot Jumpstart, which is using all the different Microsoft AI tools and kind of getting introduced and started using all of them. Or then I will do a class that is just on building agents with Copilot Studio. I kind of go back and forth with those two. Okay, but other than that, if you got questions, comments, ideas for future videos, leave them below. It always helps me to understand what you want because that's what drives what I make. And with that, I'm going to say thanks and have a great day.